Welcome to Be Held's podcast, What's Your Story? Where lyrics are more than just words. I'm Giselle Inez, your host, a licensed mental health counselor and model, guiding you through the journey of self-discovery and authenticity. Join me as we explore the heart and mind of an artist. This podcast is a safe space where your vulnerability is your superpower.
All right, so we are at the season finale.
Season finale! Ooh!
It's been a journey, I have to say. Even not even just going into this final song, but talking about just the journey of being in front of a camera. Like this has been crazy. Like I think it's really cool just to see the progression of these episodes, and in my opinion, it's really cool to see that we become more and more vulnerable ourselves as the episodes progressed.
It's been a beautiful journey from episode 1 to now, sitting together, coming to a completion. It's and like you said, from day 1, how we were working versus the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild to see our own personal growth too, and professional growth as well.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
fun.
Yeah. And another quick disclaimer before we get into the nitty gritty of the song. I think this would be a good opportunity to announce that we have something even bigger in the works.
Mm-hmm.
So do not fall off. Make sure you're staying tuned. I don't want to reveal too much of what we're trying to do, but we're taking this podcast essentially into something that is bigger than just me and Giselle.
Mm-hmm.
We want to stick with the what is your story theme,
Yeah.
but we are capturing the stories of other artists, other people,
Mhm.
people in general. I want to make sure we're capturing stories of people that haven't had that opportunity to be in the spotlight, essentially, and have them direct an episode in the way they are.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's, you coming from this background of engineering, right? And like you're in an office all day long, and who would have thought that you'd be in front of a mic sharing your story? And we both know through this journey that there's so many people hidden that need to share their stories, that need to share their light, and you're going to come out from the dark and you're going to come up, you're going to show out, and you're going to share your slice of inspiration
Yes.
that our world needs.
Yep. And I want to break the fourth wall here. I'm staring at the camera right now. I'm staring at you because, wink, wink, hint, hint, we're going to need guests on the show.
Yes.
Especially for future seasons. So, yeah. Keep that in the back of your mind if that's something you are interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely stay tuned.
Yeah, and just going back, how we've all grown together too, right? Like me, you, and you. It shows a lot that we've talked about, those questions that we ask ourselves, the resistance, what's stopping you from sharing your story? And Brandon, you've just been a beautiful example of that, of not letting fear stop you from being seen and sharing your truth in this world, and in a world where we need it most, right? We all crave vulnerability, and we crave community, we crave connection. We need that more than ever, and I think this has just been a beautiful path that you've now walked us through, and so many more people are just waiting to share their story. So
Thank you for the kind words. And yes, again, keep this in the back of your minds because we do have bigger things in the work.
mm-hmm.
With that said, let's get into the culmination, the final song of the album, Reflection, which is the title of the album as well. Um, as we were talking about previously, this is the overall run through of the journey we've experienced so far. And a cool little thing I wanted to do at the end of this song was go back to if you had listened to the album, um, the first song being called Dear Myself is talking to myself in a way of what have I experienced? What is my story?
Yeah.
And then throughout those songs, we're talking about the different chapters of my life, like a book. And this final song closes that book. Um, we've learned all about what I've experienced so far.
Hmm.
And I wanted to break the fourth wall in a way by, after sharing my story, I'm asking the listener what their story is. And that closing of the book signifies that I'm done sharing my story. It's time for you to share yours.
Ooh, I get the chills.
I really love how this song is written out as well. I could go through the lyrics and explain the lyrics uh, all day, but I would say the verse I particularly wanted to cover was the third one, and it's the final verse of this album, and kind of goes over that kind of what we were just talking about. Talking about those specific chapters. I wanted to break the fourth wall here again as well, and I'll go through it word by word. Dear myself, I'm proud you found a way to find yourself. You were cocky for a little needed help, but inside you just wanted them to feel. You fell in love but didn't share a theme. Then you turned to drugs to find a way to scream. You pushed away bad habits and prevailed, but were scared that they didn't want to hear. A legacy is what you wanted built. Split decisions, which one will you choose to kill? Now I'm back here with my little pen and paper, jotting down what I've been through, what comes later. So before I go to those final four lines of this verse, I wanted to state that this took a lot of tweaking to do, but what I wanted to capture with this verse is line by line to represent the different chapters we've gone through on this journey,
Mm,
to literally represent the reflection of this
wow.
cycle. So, Dear Myself, referring to the intro track, I'm proud you found a way to find yourself, representing the theme of identity crisis.
Yes.
Then we get into Diva, um, you know, being this cocky individual, but wanting, the bigger pictures. I wanted that respect.
Hmm.
And yep, if you were to look back, you get to see that this verse is talking about each of those chapters and reminding ourselves that this story or this journey, it's not over, but this part of life has come to a close. We've reflected on it.
I love this and I appreciate this so much from I from just every aspect of just attention to detail and intention. Like as your last song of the album, as your last chapter, and you want, like, line by line, you reflect to each song, each chapter in such a digestible way. And like that's also really fun because like had you not shared this on a podcast,
Little
had
Easter
you
egg.
not started a podcast to share your songs and where they came from, um that is such a fun creative way to also just see your brain, like how your brain works, how your heart works. I know it's just been a really big journey of this podcast. Um, but I just think that's so fun. I just love that. I love verse 3. That's freaking awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's the important thing I'm trying to tell everyone. And it's something you say in the intro
Mm,
of every episode is lyrics are more than just words. Um, I don't write this in a way just to show off some like cool creative abilities, but there are plenty of times in life, and it's very important to listen to music with substance, in my opinion.
yeah.
I don't think you always have to, but um, the people that personally blew my mind when it comes to songwriting are Kendrick Lamar, Frank Ocean, Tyler the Creator, Lil Wayne. Paris, Texas is a newer one. But they all have these little quirks to how they write. Oh, Chance the Rapper. How can I forget about
Oh,
him? Yeah,
that
I was
was
about to
floating in my
say
head, but I
that's
didn't want to say
yeah. I didn't.
it.
He's the reason why I discovered rap. Uh, but yeah, what's really cool about music is all of these artists I listen to translate to the music I make.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not that like one of them I copy how they write or anything like that. It's just like you take these little pieces of how they do things. I was really nerdy about it back in, I think we talked about it a little bit in a previous episode, but when COVID hit, you're trying to find something to do. And I think this is where I really fell in love with songwriting because it was Frank Ocean's Blonde
Mm,
was the album where I printed out every single song on pieces of paper and I was highlighting the structure,
yeah.
rhyming. And I don't think I would have learned how to songwrite to this level or being able to do this stuff if I didn't take my time to study the greats. And
That is amazing to hear. Yeah, continue.
yeah, I eventually that's something I want to do. I want to be someone that people look up to and in songwriting and stuff like that. So just a big thing I try to emphasize to the listeners is just please pay attention to I'd say a lot of the works I've written, but this one especially, like I want to make sure you're understanding the lyrics because
Hmm.
I try to write it in a way that is digestible.
Yeah.
It's not abstract these concepts. Everyone relates to these concepts. I try to keep it at that level, that reading level, and but also make sure you're paying attention to the details because there is a lot I'm trying to say word by word. And I want you to try this journey as well because um, there's a lot of forms of therapy, and I'm fortunate we're bringing that up nowadays. Vulnerability, how important it is to let loose. Um, but for me personally, songwriting's been that
Mm,
form. Being able to write my feelings in a clear and concise way, it just comes out like magic. I don't know how
yeah.
to describe it because there's so much that goes on in my head. My head's always all over the place, but this has always like been the creative outlet that like things just make sense. And try songwriting. I do think it's a really cool avenue, but also again, just have a creative pursuit essentially that lets you be vulnerable. Um, feels good. I think that's the kind of the big message.
And I think that's so powerful because what you're also doing in your form of therapy is a big concept of your journey too of like stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So like I think so in those moments of you're in this creative flow and you're like, let me just do this and then you look at it and you're like, what the how did I even get here? That's
Yeah.
so freaking cool. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
those moments, it's just like
Yeah.
that's that's what makes life worth
Exactly.
living,
Exactly.
in a very small aspect of it,
Yep.
like that excitement, enthusiasm.
Right. And yeah, from a personal perspective, that's like you said, I think everyone needs to experience those aha moments. Like there were
Hmm.
so many times, like this verse especially, where it was like, how did I write this? Like,
Yeah.
what did I just write? And it was just like, I want to share this with like the world. Like this is like I was just like in awe. I was like, this is so cool. Um, but yeah, it is important for all human beings to have these creative outlets. And I want to just have a huge thank you and be gracious here that it's important to remember that you can't do this stuff by yourself.
Mm.
So, I mean, I'd love to thank Giselle for being here. Um, but also, even when it came to making the album, when it came to making the album art, when it came to to marketing stuff, when it comes to this podcast, it's a team of people,
Mm.
and once everyone's it's the most beautiful thing about human beings is when the vision is aligned and everyone's shooting in the same direction, the stuff you can make is incredible. It's when you have all these minds together working
Yeah.
the same output, it's crazy what you guys can do. And um yeah, this journey is only starting. This is the end of season 1, but there is so much more to come.
When we started this journey together, it was so, what is that word? Serendipitous,
Yes,
right?
that's a
Like
great word.
you just like you became more of yourself, I became more of myself, and it's like you just find your tribe, and then the whole team, we're just ourselves all the time. So I think it's really amazing that not only you started with being vulnerable and challenge yourself and using this pen and paper to share yourself, but also creating this podcast and a platform to share your story and inspire other people to share their stories. And even if you're feeling afraid and hesitant and resistant and even questioning, like, is it even worth it? Like, I'm just a normal person. It's like, yes, that makes it even
Yes.
more worth
Yes.
it. Like, every
Exactly.
story is worth sharing. And um, you really continue to be an example of that, and I'm just so excited that this isn't the end. This is just the beginning, and um, I it's really exciting. It's exciting to be part of this, so I'm very grateful too. To wrap up reflection, your first album, right?
Yeah.
Ever to even share with the world, and the door that opened you to meeting so many people, right? Like, even though it's just you and I in this room, there's so many people that we've met and can feel connected to. What would be your one message that if younger Brandon was sitting across from you in this moment, finishing this album, finishing sharing it with everyone,
Oh man.
going public with it, what would what would that sound like to him if he was in that position of like, hey man, is it worth sharing my story? Should
Hmm.
I do it?
Hmm.
I'm scared, right? What would you tell
Yeah.
him?
Yeah. I think there's two reasons why reflecting is super important.
Mm-hmm.
The first is you come to a consensus with what you've experienced so far.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you fight those demons,
Yeah.
you get to resolve all of that, um, which frees your mind. The second is it reminds you of how much you have looked forward to as well.
Mm,
I think it covers the past and the future, but reminds you to live present. So I think it covers all three of those angles.
yeah.
Um, and going with equilibrium, I think it's important to cover all that, um, because it's important to learn about the mistakes you made in the past.
Mm,
It's important to think about the targets you want to reach in the future. Um, but the most important thing is to be present,
yeah.
because the future is impossible without being present, and you don't learn from mistakes if you don't look at the past. I think that's sort of kind of the whole moral of the story. And like we said, you never ever should stop learning in life. I think
Mm,
every single day is a new opportunity to be a better person for yourself, for society. Um, and that's what makes life so fun.
yeah.
Is I personally go crazy when there's nothing like this happening. Is like stuff like this is why I jump out of bed. I'm like, all right, I want to stay on this earth. I want to, I have a message, I have a vision to spread, and I believe in it. I think those factors are
Mhm.
so important. We're purpose bound creatures. I think we need purpose to thrive. You know, there has to be something we're pushing towards, and
Yeah.
everyone needs to find that avenue.
Mhm. What I'm hearing is you would tell younger Brandon, if he was sitting across from you right now, that his purpose, part of his purpose, is to share his story with the world
Exactly.
and to keep holding on.
Exactly.
Stay here. Your work is not done,
Nope.
no matter how hard it gets. You are going to grow up, and one day in your 20s, you're going to sit in a chair and share your story.
Yep. And that's the conclusion of everything. I have said this since a kid, and people are like, that is so abstract. What does that even mean? Is
Yeah.
I've always wanted to, as a kid, to inspire people.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, how do you quantify that? Um,
Mm,
and you can't. You can't quantify how you inspire people, but being the truest person you can be and having this platform that we're developing
mm-hmm.
and hoping it gets bigger and bigger over time, spreading this word. I think that's the way I'm aligning with that goal I've had since a kid.
Yeah.
And if
Your
I will,
truth.
yeah, exactly. Thank you. And if I were to look back at life, you know, when I'm on my deathbed and I were to look back at everything I've done, I want to be like, I gave it my all. I think
Mm,
that is the biggest thing is like, I want to tell myself, I didn't play it safe. I didn't take shortcuts. I
mm-hmm.
I fought as hard as I could,
Yeah.
and I've tried to impact the world as much as I could. I did my time, and for my story, it's music. You know, it's getting this brand out there. But it's a collective cloud. You know, it's like
Mm,
there's beauty in realizing, looking at the big picture, how small of a speck you are. I don't view that in a pessimistic way. I
mm-hmm.
look at that and be like, um, you know, I can this is the what I'm delivering to the cloud. This is what I'm
Yeah.
delivering to the big picture of things. And yes, we may be like little specks, but how important it is to fight for what you believe is right because um you bring these specks together. For example, this podcast wouldn't be able to be done, music wouldn't be able to be done without a group of people, like we
Right.
said earlier, working together
Mm-hmm.
for what they believe, you know, is right. You know, that's that's the true beauty of life. I think that's the thing that always, you know, I wake up trying to do.
It's beautiful because you really hit on this. You really hit on like everyone just feels like like a little tiny raindrop, right? But that little tiny raindrop when you fall into the ocean or like a little rose petal or the
Hmm.
soil on the ground, like that ocean, like you all part of this like wave, or you're a part of that the soil like grows a garden. You're part of that flower that
It's all
now
interconnected.
nourishes a bee, right? And like you said, like everything is connected. And I really hope that, you know, just just one person who's listening could relate and feel connected and inspires them to now connect with someone else, and that just ripple effect of kindness and love and
Yes.
inspiration continues, and the vulnerability and authenticity and um that's the work, right? Like
Yep.
that's the magic.
It's proven true that love always conquers all.
Mm,
Um, it's always important to love and not fight, you know. And like I said, when you have a group of people fighting for the same thing,
mm-hmm.
it really is. I can't emphasize it enough. It's amazing what you guys can come up with.
Yeah. The fight's not over.
Never, never. Each day's a
Season
new
one's
day.
over, but the fight's not over.
Exactly. So, as we come to a close of season 1, I wanted to just say a huge thank you for the listeners for providing me a safe space where I can share my vulnerability and my journey. And I felt more confident in myself and more vulnerable as these episodes progressed. This isn't the end of the journey. Within season 2, we want to keep capturing the theme of human connection, but take it in a way where you guys are the artists. You guys share your stories. To wrap things up, the one question I have for you guys is, what is your story?
What is your story? I'm lost, fish in the clouds, can't find my friends.
Thank you for listening and being a part of the Ripple Effect of Empathy on Be Held's podcast. What's your story? Together, we can continue to create a world filled with genuine connections and heartfelt stories. Click the link below to continue this transformative experience.
And to the listener, I have one question to ask you. What is your story?